Welcome back to the Janus World Building Project. In this video, we'll explore design principles from Xenarthrans, especially armadillos, sloths, and anteaters, and introduce the Planters faction focused on building a Solarpunk society. In sharp contrast to the relentless consistency of Janus, the Planters strive for coherent pluralism, with multiple layers of cultural membranes negotiating the dynamic collective participating in the larger network. Descended from experimental towns and eco-villages, and fusing the theoretical musings of movements such as Game B with the regenerative awareness of biomimics and permaculturists. The Planters continue to iterate on an anti-fragile system working hyper-collaboratively towards an omni-thriving synthesis powered by generativity and sustained by conviviality. All Planters hold to a handful of key shared values, but each community varies wildly. To hold this diversity of opinions together, each group and the network collectively constructs protocols of right relationship to steward their unfolding society. In addition, Planters can be identified by their persistent use of augmented reality goggles, manifesting the noosphere and local ecosystem dynamics as a complex rainbow of overlays. They find themselves in tension with the growing behemoth of Janus and manage the increasing contests for local resources in myriad ways according to each of their customs. Most committed to the pure abstraction are the townsfolk of Plexus, where others have approached the latest technologies with abundant caution. Plexans dive in eagerly and metabolize new developments as swiftly as possible. In consequence, they also manufacture key gadgetry for all other Planters, such as the ubiquitous AR headsets. They often work alongside other Planters to realize biomimetic inventions aligned to the mentors of each group. Inspired by their innovative morphologies despite slow metabolism, the Plexans emulate Xenarthrans as the foundation of their own cultural language and technological advancements, considering deeply the wisdom of armadillos, anteaters, and sloths. Most intensively among the Planters, Plexans integrate biomimicry thinking into every aspect of their lives, beyond only formal emulation in their physical technology, to behavioral and systems-level innovation societally. Their buildings follow patterns of multicellularity. Their customs learn from the dance of the ant and anteater. Their boundaries listen to semi-permeable cell membranes. In all things, they meditate deeply on the brilliance of nature and hold gratitude for its generosity of gifts, accepting they too are a part of it, and not greater than any other, only differently tasked with participation in stewardship. Their performance baseline is net positive, and from their island they take in the sickness of the world and transfigure it into health. Inspired by Bucky Fuller's Dome Cities and the hopeful futurism of Solarpunk dreamers, the town thrives on experimental lifestyles, Plexus formed according to biomimetic design principles alongside permaculture strategies, challenging conventional layouts, but encountering a host of novel bugs and challenges as a result. The community is entirely self-sufficient, with all artifacts made of on-site materials, and a high dependence on clockwork mechanisms with minimal solar, wind, and hydro to provide power. Xenarthrans are a superorder of mammals with several unique traits, including low metabolic rate, unusual skeletal structure, and high strength relative to size. Armadillos, in the order Cingulata, include 21 extant species and stand out for their osteoderm armor, with bone growing in the skin of their back to form a shell. They specialize in digging and eat mostly insects. They live in deserts, grasslands, and forests. Sloths include 6 extant species in 2 genera, Bradypus and Calapus. They live in the neotropics and spend their lives mostly upside down, staying still or moving slowly. They eat leaves. Anteaters include 4 extant species in the suborder Vermilingua. They are known for eating ants and termites with specialized mouths lacking teeth. They have large claws for digging into nests, with dense fur and long tails. They live in tropical forests and grasslands, maintaining their solitary territories. A comparison on Xenarthran skeletons shows similarly distinct vertebrae with extra articulation, providing stiffness with sections fused, and unusual limb structure. Armadillos share several armor patterns, and one species rolls into a ball defensively. Sloth fur supports an ecosystem with fungus, algae, and moths, some of which only live on sloths. This living coat provides camouflage. They use slow but strong muscles based on unique architecture and are also strong swimmers. They have hair growing upside down for their arboreal, hanging lifestyle, and their digestive system is evolved to function upside down, with a looped esophagus and a stomach with extra chambers for longer processing time. Their eyes only see one color, related to nocturnal adaptations of their ancestors. Anteater mouths have no teeth, with a specialized tongue covered in barbs called filiform papillae, with an attachment to the sternum allowing swift tongue movements at 150 times per minute. Their stomach grinds their food. Armadillo embryos split into 4 offspring. They have soft teeth with no enamel. As a first step to exploring Xenarthrans functionally, a diagram of mammalian organ systems relationship considers directions of flow and intersystem interactions, starting from a human example with some unique Xenarthran characteristics identified. A brain connecting the nervous system, a heart powering circulatory movement, lungs shaping respiratory behavior from an intake nose and mouth, which also fills the digestive tract that produces solid waste and liquid proceeding into the renal system, reproductive organs, an endoskeletal frame and connective musculature, immune functions in the lymphatic system, and diverse morphology of integument. Connecting these are nerves, veins, and lymph connections. They have a heart with a closed circulatory system and have controllable thermal windows. And their respiratory system often features lungs with multiple lobes, asymmetric to one side, with high resistive forces enabling some species to hold their breath for 6 minutes, with an added ability to use their digestive tract as an extra air reservoir. Beginning from this initial diagram, perhaps a more compact diagram is possible. What adjacencies are most important? Iteratively, we will abstract to simplify and clarify a functional bridge. System connections can be considered implicit. Functional counterparts could be a BMS computer, liquid pumps, gas pumps, louvers and grinders, biomass digester, waste pipe, space and ornamentation and microfab shop, structure and actuators, security and facade, all connected by wires, supply pipes, and drainage. Translated into a potential building form, an intense mechanical core maintains the distributed systems that serve the inhabitable spaces. Looking to Xenarthrans, the public space receives outside air through air tubes to pre-temper, and artificial lungs move air and control pressure relative to outside conditions. The envelope includes ecosystems like sloths' fur, deployable armor like armadillo shells to modulate and protect glass domes, and a variation on thatch inspired by hair structure with areas of actuation to modulate thermal performance. Piping is sheathed in a larger drainage channel to contain leaks before they do damage. Compost and crop biomatter waste feed into the digester to produce fuels for energy, and all systems interact to make optimal use of waste heats. Column capitals hold captured and filtered rainwater for gravity-fed water deployment. Smaller farms focus on a hexagonal geodesic layout, while larger public buildings feature more variety to accommodate more diverse functions. The primary town of the planters, Plexus, sits on an island in the middle of a river not far from the Janus spire. To one side of the island, farmland extends out to a protective wall. Surrounded by the whirring of automated farmhands and the lush flutter of food forest plantings, a farm table dining hall hosts pockets of conversation for those taking a break from their projects or passing through from other parts. Sitting at the table, we have a stray cog known as Clunk, a commoner Mara named Chad Dirt Garbles, a planter individual named Radia Borg, a swell Mara called Wanda Sly, an Echo Luna Og who goes by the alchemical symbols for spirit and silver, the Stetter Flo Lamb, a disaffected dream strider called Shang Uzurkov, a technomad named Darvel Erkin, and a green sun titled Sheer Talon Freefall the Brash Bold. Their dinner complete, the assortment of curious travelers pivot into a pressing discussion. Which is why we have to do something soon, while we can still stop the harm. We're tired of picking up the pieces. There'd be less pieces if you quit breaking things, Sheer Talon. At least we tried something. We've all tried to do something about it, but they're not going to stop wanting everything. Thanks, Dirk. Can we at least agree to make some kind of plan? Back to the committee. So we set a deadline to enact it? Fine. Flo, you had some ideas? Thanks, Wanda. We do, but first I'd like to understand what we're all seeing. Darvel? It's happening for all the planters, every community we pass through. Janus must have hit a resource limit. Shang?
The hunger is hardwired. If we want to cut the number of extractors, we have to look way upstream.
Clunk, have your dreams changed? Any clues?
Thanks for asking for clues, Flo. I do still have dreams of the Spire Telos. Lately, my dreams have been more urgent. Does that answer your question?
That'll do. Thanks.
She turns to look behind her and signs to Spirit Silver. Can you corroborate? Spirit Silver nods and signs back. Search parameters expanded. Repurpose algorithm active. A plan, then. Shang, are you talking leverage points in the network? The leverage point. We should go big. Pull back the curtain on Oz and rewrite the soul of the Spire God. Gizzard bound, Shang. That's hard to swallow even for me. Do they call you the brash bold, or no?
Yeah, but I'm with Freefall on this one. Even if we could pull it off, the downstream risk is in our favor, actually. We haven't maximized all our resilience out. Sure, but it's only been a lifetime since we broke free. Not so free if we've been sitting under a great green gladius all along. Some more than others, that's true. I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. Did you mean, not my problem? Since when were you programmed for snark? I had some work done. Clearly not enough.
Clunk's not all wrong, love. I know you didn't mean it, but if planters means anything, we show it now. You're right. We're quick to think and slow to act. The time for that is waning. So we plan, and then we act. I'll confer with the Hermetic, and we can set a meet with Seedmaker. Rootweaver should have some contacts to pull in, and Leafdropper can help setting a deadline. Everyone jump in as you're called, and keep this close until we're poised. All in favor?
Aye.
Suit design includes a mask with filters arrayed like an external sinus cavity, which is deployable for protection, but liftable for conversation, and AR glasses embedded for a persistent, augmented worldview. Solar panels are embedded on the headpiece and shoulders, with an exoskeleton supporting heavy labor in the gardens and securing the town perimeter. Armored gloves assist in detailed but risky work with a hexagonal, ceramic lattice of armor woven into an enclosing biocomposite membrane. The exoskeleton extends across the chest to provide some protection. When working in orchards, stilts connect into the exoskeleton, and leggings with ecosystem-fostering surface shag support pollinators to improve crop health during tending. Though overwhelming to outsiders at first, this playful collective of individuals spawns endless diversity in a richly textured culture with constant renewal through technological innovation. Perhaps you will find yourself at a noisy table at the Harvest Festival, shouting to new friends as you sample new dishes prepared from local food over the ambience of multiple musicians playing for the Plexans late into the night. Exposes the expansive daylit spaces, from skylights and overhead glass filled with lush plants and fabrication activities. A shipwright works to supply planters with watercraft at a river port, and a town hall brings all planters into community for critical decisions and festivals. The extensive greenhouses of Plexus rely on an engineering marvel of glass roof systems using aggregations of geodesic grid domes with water catchment and protective shells, all delicately supported
by a laminated wood and reinforced composite rib system inspired by bone structure, which arches down to slender columns supporting integrated water tanks. These tanks use potential energy to slowly irrigate crops below passively. The area beneath this continuous glass roof is recessed and terraced to support a variety of planting, arranged permaculturally instead of only in mechanized hydroponic rows, though these are also used in limited number as appropriate. Ventilation through operable panels is automated by a series of local controllers guided by time clocks and temperature and humidity sensors. The rotating shell covers manage daylight, protect from extreme weather, and guard against potential attack. The town began as a designed intentional community, looking to successful past attempts and drawing on the collective intelligence of disparate, intrigued players of the infinite game, diverse peoples united in their desire for a living future. With the emphasis on iteration in real contexts due to the unpredictability of complex systems, Plexus matured in response to successes and failures within its own operation and the broader network of planter communities. In maturing around renewed communion with life, the previously opposed enthusiasts of tech-optimist entrepreneurial libertarians and the deep and wide care of psychedelic cyber hippies shaped a new culture. The population is highly diverse, but skews towards intellectuals, and as such often contracts outsiders for portions of physical labor to offset a lack of local labor supply. Born of persistent faith in the power of technology to offer new niches for success, the economy is synthetic and designed around several intertwined loops of blockchain token systems embedding material life cycle metadata, smart contracts, descendants of DAO governance, and broad transaction power in a donut economy fundamentally tied to energy. Rather than using a centrally planned system under AI supervision, an intelligent serendipity engine pulls people together with alluring synchronicities at opportune moments in their entangled lives. The interplay of choice and chance provides swift resilience in a dynamic arena of turbulent regional changes. The planters are led by three: the leaf dropper, the root weaver, and the seed maker. But these come from many different professions. The center of Plexus sits on the broad island in the river, providing a natural barrier and means of transport, and connecting their shipwright directly to a popular port. The buildings seek to emulate Xenarthrans in diverse ways, some using domes, some with thatch, others with green roofs and expansive daylighting. In the farmsteads, each unit has one dome with shells and an interior dwelling to support growing in all seasons, with native plantings outside, supporting a wild prairie, alongside selective use of key forage species from elsewhere. The shells learn from the patterns of armadillo skin, and structures learn from fused vertebrae and staunch limbs. Typical clothing is driven by function, and also emulates Xenarthrans. A coat with bimaterial internal struts that puff the air gap in cold to increase insulation, and a protective breathing hat to parse unusual or hostile conditions. Armoring for hazardous tasks, learning from biomechanics of armadillo osteoderms, and performance-driven outfits such as the acoustically absorptive robe of a knowledge keeper, with a thermal window to maintain comfortable feeling within. A fringe of deep wisdom quotes adorns the collar for reflection. Navigating a complex web of relationships, Plexans often interact with other factions. Outside their immediate planter compatriots, they meet with the radically egalitarian commoners in discussions of defying the suffocating grip of Janus and other spires. They warily engage with the cult of the green sun when action is critically needed, although those assignments often get out of hand. When need for knowledge dominates, they reach out to the clandestine Echo-Luna cult and hope for a half-muttered tech prophecy they can actually interpret. Meanwhile, within their planter network, they often connect with others such as the seafaring steaders on their great city ships, or the casual, clever, and crafty swells in their houseboat flotilla moving up and down the local rivers. As the opportunity arises, they consult the broad wisdom of the roving technomads, and even more rarely make contact with the generally Luddite group of planter villagers, using as little tech as possible to make their way through a turbulent world. Within these sub-factions of the planters, membership is extremely varied between Augs and Maras, born free of the spire or bound to it, Dreamstriders and stray cogs, escaping a deep tie to Janus, and any number of other seekers who couldn't fit into the order of an insistent world and wish to try their hand at an alternative approach. The culture of tech innovation collectively has been essential to fueling their growth and increasing regional autonomy, though this is only now truly coming into question. Plexan tech extends across scales, beyond static structures and worn gadgetry to solar clockwork vehicles, stepping gingerly across virgin wilds. Their small numbers are supplemented by extensive automatons, with only rudimentary AI systems well below sentient levels. Their combination of extreme material efficiency, solar power supply, and mechanical energy storage shapes their processes and fills the greenhouses with the soft clicking of gears moving slow but dexterous hands. Thank you for your time and your attention. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Be well.